Hi, how's it going? I'm Randy Unger, Unger the Radar.
Hey, David, we did it. We made it happen.
We're here. Thank God. So I saw the film. I actually saw the film for a second time last night. Materna. It's great.
Did?
Yeah, it's like a visual art that it really it's very deep, and it's even better the second time around. So congratulations on that.
Oh wow. Thank you for watching it twice.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate that a lot.
And also congratulations on the Tribeca Film Festival awards you won.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It was really not. It would have been great for us to have a proper sort of premiere and celebrate with everybody and be there with the city. But it was really cool that the team was recognized, and I'm really happy about that. So
great. Awesome. So tell me, how did the film originally come about?
How did it originally come about? Well, so when I started talking about this movie, I was at my most vulnerable, and I was talking to my two collaborators, Jay Deshette and Asol Abdulina, and I think it's safe for me to say that they were also going through their own kind of challenging times, and we were going through some similar experiences. There was a lot of overlap there, and we all, each in our own way, wanted to confront our sort of what we were going through in our work. Our most sensitive personal conflicts, and so it was really born of that sort of need. Okay.
And a lot of your emotion, I'm assuming, as a filmmaker, has been poured into this film. Would you consider it a personal film?
I would, yeah. We all adapted our personal sort of real life family stories into the film and into the script, and in the case of Jade and Asol, my co-writers, they were also two of the lead actresses in the film, and they went on to play, in a sense, themselves in the film, which was a really interesting process. And so it was personal for all of us, and I've never worked this way, and it was really quite special.
Cool. What was the casting process like?
Well, the beginning of the casting process was pretty straightforward. Again, I co-wrote it with two of my lead actors, and that was really sort of the baseline of the film. We knew going in that they were going to be playing two of the leads. And then it actually happened pretty quickly. We wrote the script in a matter of months, and we started casting, and then a few months later we were shooting. And basically I just reached out to some of my favorite actors, people that I've always wanted to work with, people like Caitlin Scheel and Lindsay Burge and Rory Culkin and Michael Chernus, Cassandra Freeman. I had seen Kara's work and Kara Young, and really wanted to work with her as well. And so just really got lucky that the people I really wanted to work with most were down. And so that's sort of how it happened.
Nice. And was there good camaraderie on set? Did people get along? Was there like a brotherhood, sisterhood?
I would say that. And again, it all started with Jade and Asol and I having this having started the process in this really intimate way. Then we started just with sort of personal, private, intimate conversations, and really kind of took that with us all the way to set. So by the time we got to set, we had already kind of built up a sort of trust, and we knew each other's signals, when we needed, when they needed me to take a step back. And and I think that sort of core, that foundation was a really great place to work from. And I think everybody felt that, and that we were, again, working with real material, and people were really taking risks. Jade and Asol especially. Everybody was taking risks. Every time an actor gets up on stage, that's a huge risk and act of courage. But they were dealing with their own personal stories, and so that added layer, I think, really created a really close and intimate dynamic on set, which
nice.
If I'm lucky, I'll get to have that again in my next film.
So I think it's safe to say that collaboration is important to you on a film set.
It is. I mean, I think any director would be foolish to think otherwise. We're only as good as our collaborators, and you're only as you're nothing without your actors, and your crew, and your creative partners and your producers. I believe that, and I'll always believe that.
Nice. And I'm curious, how long did the shoot take on the subway car?
That was an overnight. We did that, so that's a full 12-hour day overnight.
Wow. Great.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty interesting.
Well, what line was it? I'm just curious.
It's the A train.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right.
I guess it's safe. Yeah. I guess it's safe to say that we stole it. So maybe not. Maybe not. Hopefully,
you borrowed it. You borrowed it.
We borrowed it. We brought 30. We brought 30 or 40 of our own extras, and they stuck with us throughout the entire night. We didn't lose a single extra. So we packed the trains ourselves, and it was interesting. And of course, we had to stop, and people had to go to the bathroom. So we had certain checkpoints where we knew we could do that, and then we had to get back on the train. And of course, the same train doesn't always come by. There are different sort of styles of train. So we would all just wait with bated breath, our fingers crossed, hoping to God that the right train came by, because it's 3-4 o'clock in the morning. It's a 30-minute wait for a train at least. Right. So it was definitely an interesting evening.
Okay. Nice. So and I noticed that.
Survived.
Yeah, you did it. Congrats, for sure. Now I noticed in the film that there is some music, but in very specific moments. How important is music to you in your films?
Well, incredibly important. Music is a very sort of immediate hit to the gut. It gets goes straight into your I guess I could point to a specific example.
Okay.
Even just the use of Prince, which was just the coolest thing ever, that his estate watched the film, and they need to make sure that Prince's legacy is being honored, and they liked the film, and they watched it, and they loved it, and they gave us just the sweetest deal. Were so generous with us. So that character who's listening to that piece at that moment. There's a lot of things going on there. It's a mother-daughter love story, and the song is a love song. But then also she's a former Jehovah's Witness, and so is and Prince was Jehovah's Witness. So there are just a lot of little nuances like that I think are really kind of important to the storytelling. Or the Victor Tsoi piece in the Kirgi part of the film. Both a soul. So that was a real story, and the character of the uncle who's passed, Perry, the character is listening to his music on his laptop, and he was a huge Victor Tsoi fan, and I was a huge Victor Tsoi fan growing up, and so was Athol, my co-writer. He was sort of like an icon in the Soviet. My family's from the former Soviet Union, from the Ukraine, and Victor Tsoi was like he was like James Dean of the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, and so it's just interesting the way in which we bonded over that piece, that song, that artist separately, but that character, he was his favorite artist, and he. Like that's who he was listening to before he died. So that was just such an important part of the storytelling and of our bond, Sol and I, in our partnership, in our collaboration.
Wow. Again, yeah, a very personal film experience for you, David.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like every whether it's a piece of music or it's a shot. Or it's a line. It's like it's either it's part of a living and breathing organism, and if it's a false note, if it doesn't belong, if it's inorganic, then the body rejects it. So it's like if the piece of music doesn't have that holisticity in belonging to the thing, then it doesn't belong. So whatever it is, every choice we're making, we're trying to make that choice true and right, and I think in the end you could feel it when it is and when it isn't.
And now, speaking to things, elements that do fit in or don't fit in, what was the editing process like on this film?
Mm-hmm. The editing was interesting. I mean, there's these four women's stories, but we really treated them as a sort of single heroine's journey. And so much of that had to be kind of crafted and calibrated and structured in the edit. So you've seen the film twice, so I can sort of speak to, right, so in the beginning, the character is sort of in a place of there's no people, there's no relationships, a place of total isolation and dissonance, and sort of generally progressing over the course of the film to a place of greater connection and sort of reconciling with family and recuperating in family bonds and all of that. So we had to build that in the edit, that sort of that arc. So, because it wasn't, because again, there is this sort of vignette structure. So with each vignette, it gets sort of progressively better in the overall arc. So yeah, that was something we had to figure out and crack in the edit. Almost a bit like putting together an album or a playlist. Like they each have to build upon and expand upon and deepen the narrative. So that was fun. That was
almost
fun.
Almost like a cinematic puzzle.
Yeah. I mean, it's always that. It's always that. But yeah, I would say that's a good analogy.
And speaking to that, what were some challenges you faced during production? What were some of the big challenges?
Oh man, everything's a challenge. Getting the movie made is the biggest challenge.
Fair enough.
What was the biggest challenge? Well, again, I think it goes back to this thing of like working with real subject matter, real sort of unresolved conflicts and dramas in our lives, and the lives of my collaborators, my actors, and it's just very sensitive. Everything that we were dealing with was such a raw nerve. So one of the challenges was how to provide sort of safety and support for artists to deal with that, to work in that kind of space, and to do it not just at a high level, but at a level where they feel supported.
Okay.
And like they could go to those places. That to me was just one of the most important challenges. And there was something that Philip Seymour Hoffman said in an interview that I found really helpful. He said that a lot of times, because he was also a director, a lot of times the thing he would most often have to tell an actor was remind them the difference between themselves and the character.
Okay.
Because sometimes an actor will conflate those two.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, that was especially sort of pertinent because it wasn't a one-to-one relationship between the character and the actor. So they were playing, let's say, a version of themselves from a year ago or 2 years ago. Now these were still unresolved conflicts, but there was still a gap there. So that gave me room for adjustment. To occasionally remind, where that line is between who they are and what they're playing. So that was one of the biggest. I think we managed to toe that line in a nice way.
And with your actors, was it easy or difficult to make them aware of that line?
Well, look, I mean, I think for the most part, I didn't have to because they already knew because we had done our work together and we spent a lot of time together before we got to set. A lot of times when you're working, you don't have that privilege, you don't have that luxury. You're kind of having to figure it out on set. But because we had all of that time put in, there wasn't really that much that needed to be said. I kind of just needed to let them do what they do. They are the masters. They are the athletes. Like I can't put the ball in the hoop for them. It was just an occasional reminder here and there, but usually after the fact. Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Now I'm curious. So obviously, right now, these are crazy times in the world, and your film and the Tribeca Film Festival would have began right when this craziness started. As a filmmaker, what are your views in regards to filmmaking in the pandemic age?
That's interesting. If I'm being totally honest, I don't really have a formulated view on that subject. I mean, I personally do not have a film right this moment in pre-production or anything like that. And like all I can do is empathize with my colleagues and the filmmakers out there and the producers and financiers and everyone who's trying to get their projects off the ground and has had to put those projects on hold. And so I'm a little like cautious to say how they should do and what they should be cognizant of. And if I had a film that I was raring to go, I might be able to come from a place of a little bit more authority here. But that being said, I mean, look, I mean, this is again above my pay grade. There are people out there who are putting together, policies and regulations in place for how folks should be taking precautions on set, and I trust that erring on the side of caution is probably the way to go.
Okay.
But I mean, I also know what it's like to have to make a movie on a shoestring do things by the skin of your teeth and steal and whatever, do whatever you got to do to get the movie, to get it in the can. And if it was me right now, I don't know what I don't know what I do or what I'm capable of.
Okay.
I might. But again, it's, I think being responsible and doing the right thing and being safe is makes sense. I mean, I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, no, sure. It definitely does. And it seems like you're a little optimistic about the future, so that's good.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's not going to be like it was for a minute, probably until we have a vaccine or something to the effect. And I know when you're trying to get a movie made, a day, a week, a month feels like, a decade. And so I know that to say something like, a year from now or however long, that sounds like forever from now.
Right.
But, I mean, nobody, it's going to come back. And we're not going anywhere. Stories still need to be told.
That's right. We need art more than ever now.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of when. But in the meantime, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I was just talking to some buddies. It sounds like LA is pretty much opening up in September to start shooting. I don't know. I've been, What do you think?
I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, with this, with technology nowadays, you can shoot a movie in your apartment, and it'll be almost an award winner.
True.
So, I just remember the movie Tangerine. It was shot entirely on an iPhone.
Oh yeah.
And
love that movie.
I think filmmakers such as yourself could be really creative in that respect, and just keep this art form going as long as possible. But obviously,
I guess
actors.
It's interesting you say. It's interesting you say that. Yeah, because I mean, in some ways, the indie filmmakers, the micro budget filmmakers, have, I guess, a little bit more wiggle room and freedom to work. To be light on your feet, to work with small crews, and to kind of take risks like that. In some ways, that also puts the onus on these filmmakers to take, to be responsible, and you don't want to be be the sort of what do you call it, the bad example. Oh, like, don't do that because you see what they did and then it screws it up for everybody else. But in some ways, the studios have to be a lot more
cautious.
Cautious, yeah. But we all do. I mean, who knows, man? Who knows? We'll get back. We'll be back.
We will. Have faith.
Yeah.
So, David, back to Materna.
Okay.
What do you hope audiences take away from the film?
Well, I mean, I hope they all take away something different. Yeah, I mean, how do I put it?
Well, I like that answer of them taking away something different. Like, this film experience is different for everybody. So, and I take away two things. From both viewings. First, I was like, this is a solid film. I respect the female-driven characters. And then the second time, I was like, it went a little deeper. I was like, I kind of like got a peek into their souls, each of the four female characters. For me, I think I just take away just a very solid film experience that's about humanity, the female gender and power and love, acceptance and family, and all those, all that stuff was just like really it was crammed into this film in a lovely package, and it really worked. I think this might be on my top 10 for the year right now. I just visually it's amazing.
So cool.
So,
coming from you, that means a lot. I appreciate that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a good question, and I want to make sure I answer you as honestly as possible.
Okay.
It's again, when I made this movie, I was at a place where I was like, I want to be as personal and as vulnerable as I can be in my work, and I wanted to deal with what I was really feeling. You know, I'm somebody who has gotten through a lot of my life by erring on the side of positivity and strength. And you know, I grew up in an immigrant family, Russian immigrant family, where it's just like, you know, everyone is very combustible, but not very touchy-feely. And, you know, it's grit your teeth and bear it. You know, you get hurt, get up, like, don't cry about it. Go, just keep on going. Action, not feeling. And so that's something that, like, helped me survive through a lot of my life, but it also, like, I got to a point where, like, that was insufficient, inadequate, and I was just not dealing with a lot of what was going on inside. And so I wanted to go to those places, and I was lucky that Jade and Asol also wanted to go with me. You know, we were dealing with these characters, and, you know, we're dealing, you know, the way it was shot, very up close. We're in personal spaces, we're in private spaces, we're in, you know, the battlegrounds in our homes, and I wanted to just take a really unflinching look at these very raw, real, personal dramas and struggles. And, you know, it's like, if I had to sort of put it in flippant terms, it's like you've got sort of, like, let's say, I mean, it's like Instagram, right? Everybody's showing, and I'm not hating on Instagram, okay? This is not a knock on Instagram, and I'm not a Luddite. I mean, I'm a little bit of a Luddite, but I'm not, okay? So, you know, everybody shows their best selves, and everybody's presenting their best lives, and that's cool. But, like, I think there's like a way in which that could be a little bit oppressive, because that's a part of our truth, but it's not the full truth, because, you know, there's also, like, what we're dealing with. Life is hard. It's not just like like all that. And so in a way, it was like let's like, is there a Sadstagram, you know, where people are just coming clean and telling the truth of, like, what their lives are really like, you know, when nobody's looking, when you're alone in your private spaces, and not trying to put on a face for somebody, and not, you know, whatever, emoji, you know, sending an emoji to represent your emotional life. And so the thing that I hope people would respond to is that truth. And, you know, because I think because look, we all feel the same thing. We all are born of the same stuff. Now that materializes in very different ways, but when you're in pain, and you when you see that pain in someone, when you see somebody else express that makes you feel a little less alone.
Right.
And, you know, I think that space in which people can speak about their vulnerabilities and speak about their imperfections and speak about the things that they're afraid of, and their failings, it feels to me a little bit like an increasingly scarce and small and narrow space. So,
right.
Like, in this sort of modern communication landscape. And so this was a movie about where we were just like, fuck it, you know, like, let's just, what are we feeling? Like bring that, tell the truth right now. Let's go. You know, like, so in that very sort of John Cassavetes way. So yeah, I don't know if this answers your question, but yeah, to make something that's vulnerable and honest, so that when people watch it, they feel, you know, they can connect to that truth and feel less alone, and also, you know, there's a lot of different issues that are also addressed in the film. You know, like when we first started making this movie, we were like, okay, we're dealing with our shit. We're dealing with our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then the more we started working together, the more we started writing, we were like, wait a minute, this is actually a lot bigger than us. There are all these other issues that we're touching on, political issues, socio-political issues. And, you know, the interesting thing here was that we didn't start with that intention to make a political film. We started with the intention of making a personal film. And it just so happened that the more we delved into our personal issues, the more political the repercussions and the consequences of what we were saying and doing.
Wow.
So from that perspective, you know, people are going to see characters in this film say things that they don't agree with, that I don't agree with, but the movie is very much rooted in character, and so you watch, you see, and I think this goes back to what I first said when I tried to dodge, but maybe not, that you could take away, you know, what you take away when you watch the film, but you know, you watch these people, you agree with them, you disagree with them, you know, they go there, you engage with them, and you know, hopefully at the end of the day, like, you feel like maybe you understand them a little bit better. Maybe you have a little bit more empathy. Maybe, you know, maybe we can listen to each other a little better than we have been, which obviously right now is a big struggle for us.
Well, and you know what? I think your film ties into something that's, you know, that is happening today, the pandemic. It's about connections and people relating to each other. Mm-hmm. And I actually read an article you wrote for Variety, and you quoted Manuel Levinas, and you said about face-to-face contact. When you make face-to-face contact with someone, it creates a moral and ethical relationship between you and the other person. That through contact, you become morally responsible to another. And I thought that was awesome. So I think that is true now more than ever. Yeah.
No, it's true. It's really true. And it's definitely been one of the scarier things of this whole experience. You know, like like I'm a runner. I go for runs in the morning, and like when I first started, like when the pandemic first hit, like I'd go for runs, and like I'd see people like cross the street to get away from me, or I'd see somebody hide behind a tree, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? Is that the apocalypse?
I know.
And of course, like now I'm saying that, and it's like so passé. Like we're all so used to doing that. I do that now as well. But at the time, it was like, wait, hold on. Like everyone is petrified of each other. Like that can't be good long term.
I know. No.
But yeah, and I just, you know, I was just in the hospital for about a week, and you know, the hospital, not for COVID or anything that, but like the hospital experience was just so. It was also, you know, as affected by this problem, you know, because everybody's wearing masks, and you know, I think ordinarily folks would feel, I think in different times, there's the whole bedside manner of it all has to be really. I mean, I've been in a hospital before the pandemic, and people behave differently. People behave differently. You know, it's like everyone's so. I don't want to. I mean, look. I'm actually going down a rabbit hole here. Like, everyone who works in a hospital is a hero, and the first responders are just, you know, we owe so much to them. But they also are people. They're also human beings. They're not robots, and they have their own anxieties. And you know, when they're dealing with patients and they have to wear masks all the time, and you know, be fearful that they might catch something and might give it to another patient, it's just there's less of a human component to the relationship. So it's just, I mean, I just got out of there, so I'm like, that's my frame of reference right now. But yeah, no, this is a thing. But then it's like, crazy because like now like we just went like total 180 pendulum swinging from like total self-isolation to like everybody, like every city is a ghost town, so all of a sudden the cities are now packed with, protests, and so it's interesting how quickly we transition. And this is what I mean. You asked me earlier, like when how long is this going to last, or when, what do you think how do you think the state, what do you think the state of the filmmaking is going to look like? And man, it's like in a span of a few hours everything can change, let alone a day or a week or a month. Yeah, I don't know. I'm on one right now, but
well, that's no, I hear you. I mean, we're gonna probably in the next couple of months get some COVID related pandemic movies. That'll really be a commentary on what's happening. But we'll see what happens. But back to
what do you think about?
No, you want to say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what do you think about like a lot of folks have opinions about like whether to make a movie like about COVID and COVID times and things like that.
Well,
something.
Oliver Stone made a 9/11 movie, I think 5 years after the actual event. So I don't know if that was kind of soon in my opinion. I think maybe if he did it 10 years after, it would have been more acceptable. But I mean, it's obviously it's still happening, and it's very raw. It's very current. So I don't think a movie about it right now would be appropriate. But maybe in a couple of years, because they've been doing movies. They did Outbreak. They did Contagion. Those came out within 95 and then 2011. I don't know. To do it now or next year would be a little premature, but it will happen. And
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, are you getting any ideas?
I hear what you're saying. I
for
feel
your
like
own?
It's a little bit. What?
Are you getting any ideas for your own movie?
Well, look, I feel to me it's sort of execution dependent. Like I think that like what's regardless of how all this sort of COVID stuff shakes out, I think what's inarguable is that like we are going through like a really profound experience as people, like just this whole process of self-isolation, of losing your jobs, of just being gripped by this anxiety and fear of like being afraid of the other person, of contaminating other people, of killing, like, am I going to kill my grandmother? Am I going to kill yours? Like, I think there's something so unbelievably real, urgent, and profound about like this experience for so many different people and how it's affecting different people. And, I think, why do we make stuff? Why do we do art? Why do we make art? Why do we make films or write books or paint paintings or anything if not to what's the Scorsese quote, like, not to knock Marvel movies, but what is like make stuff that's like about people conveying like psychological things to other human beings, like
real movies,
some real psychological shit that we're going through. So like why not why not tell those stories of like just to convey that, because it's also just an incredibly social experience. Like, when's the last time we had a social, cultural experience that was this, like, unifying? Like, 9/11, you said, is a good example. Like, we, culture is so like, fractured and fragmented, and, everything is so, everyone's on their own little island. Like, this has been such a profound experience. So I think that, and everybody's experienced it differently, and so I don't think there's anything wrong with folks trying to tell that story. I think if you're trying to like do the contagion of it, like if you're trying to do the science and procedure of it, you're probably gonna end up like looking like a little bit of like on your back foot, because the science keeps changing. That's maybe not the best idea, but
it needs to be done tastefully on a small scale, like an indie
level.
level.
Exactly.
So
if its heart is in the right place, just like anything, I think it could be really great and valuable and meaningful.
Yeah, I would give it a few more years and then start seeing them crop up here and there. When we're still we're still wounded. We're not really healing just yet. So I think if we do have really artfully, tastefully done movies about the pandemic, I think that would definitely help with the healing process.
Exactly, totally. I agree 100%.
So, David,
and that's why I watch movies. Every time I watch a movie, I'm like, God damn it, help me, heal. Like,
it really is.
Here.
It is the
show
best
me
medicine. It's therapy.
Yes.
It's medicine. And you need it. You need
it. It is.
And Materna, I think Materna is one of those.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah. No, I really believe that. I believe in escape, but I'm always suspicious when I hear people say that, like, oh, this is just, sometimes people just need to escape. I don't know if I agree with that. I think anytime anybody goes to a movie or anything, they go hoping, secretly to see a miracle happen. Maybe something will click and their lives will change and they'll see something beautiful that'll wake them up or like connect them to themselves. I think even when we're looking for escape, I think we're also looking for that miracle. But I'm getting off my soapbox now.
No, I hear you. Whenever I see a movie, like I'm from Queens, I know you're from Brooklyn, and whenever I see a movie that's based in New York City, I fall in love with it right away. And if the lead, if the main character is like a quirky kind of guy, I totally, I look up to that character and I relate to him. And
right. Yeah.
That's part of the magic of film. So. Yeah, there you go.
Well, yeah, and that's sort of another component. I mean, this is a very New York movie, and as a New Yorker, I've talked a lot about the sort of personal dimensions of the picture, but it's as much a movie about just about sort of being in New York, and I'm sure are you based in New York?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, Queens.
And you've been in New York for a few years?
I've lived here all my life. All
your life. Okay.
Yeah.
So this feeling of feeling like so alone, so fucking lonely, so disconnected, but at the same time, in the same breath, completely connected to everyone around you. Like whether you're on the train, whether you're wherever on the street, on a crowded street. Yeah. And so, and I think the movie sort of was also, you said, where did this movie come from? Born of that tension of simultaneously feeling completely isolated and alone, but also part of this blob of people, of this community. And the way that the movie is structured, how we're sort of when we're with one person, we're really just with that one person, like on a super hyper micro subjective level. But then, when we're on the train, we zoom out and it's like, oh shit, people, oh my God, so many people.
Eye contact? What's going on?
So
it's a paradox.
So that's an important, definitely an important sort of part of the DNA of the movie.
Nice. Well, Materna, it definitely captures that feeling of isolation and, the opposite of isolation. I'm curious. So before I let you go, David, how can people see this film?
We are hopefully going to get some distribution. We've definitely had a lot of interest and conversations. We haven't yet shown the film to distributors because we're kind of in that sort of space where so many other filmmakers are figuring out like how to navigate this moment, whether to show or not to show, and all that. And we've opted to kind of take a step back and kind of wait it out. And but we've maintained dialogue and conversation with all of the distributors that have reached out, and some distributors I've always dreamed of working with, and so I'm excited. I'm excited for them to see the film, and when the time's right, that's going to happen. And in the meantime, we just kind of sit tight, patient. Don't want to make any rash decisions. Don't want to sort of act out of desperation.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we feel good. We're proud. We're excited about this thing that we made and are really eager to share it. And so we just we're leaning into that and being patient, waiting to see what the world's going to look like in a couple of months and what the market's looking like. And then we'll re-engage.
Okay. Sounds good. David, I want to thank you so much for your time today. This was awesome. The film is great.
Yeah.
Congratulations on all your success with the awards, and I hope you'll get many more.
Thanks, man. Yeah, really appreciate you taking the time to watch the film twice and, reaching out to talk to me. It's been fun.
Same here. Thanks so much. I'm Randy Younger. This has been Under the Radar. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, guys.